Okay, so first on my list is Bitwarden, and Bitwarden is basically a password manager and form filler. You've probably seen this kind of thing before, like built into your browser, but this one is a bit better in my opinion. So let me show you. Here on Amazon, if I want to add a new address, I could just type it all out or use the one that's built into the browser, but here I just log into my Bitwarden and literally just go down and literally just click the button once, and then it's going to fill in all those details for me, which is pretty handy. It saves me a lot of time. You can also store cards on here as well, and this is all stored securely, and of course as many passwords as you like, and it always knows which passwords work on which site. It's a really good app, and you can use it both on desktop, but you can also use it on your mobile as well, so it all does sync across, which I find really useful. Alright, so I know what you're thinking. Is he using a wheelie bin as a standing desk? The answer is absolutely yes for this YouTube video. So the next app is another browser extension, and this one is Ublock Origin. It's a very simple application. It is basically just an ad blocker, but this one is my favorite because it also stops tracking and other things, and I find it works really, really well. It works on YouTube and it works on naughty lady websites as well. Very little more annoying than adverts, so using an ad blocker is an absolute must when you're browsing the internet. It also means that pages are going to load a lot faster as well. I'll show you on screen now the difference between using an ad blocker and not using an ad blocker. It is night and day. I find that without the ad blocker, the page is basically unreadable on a lot of websites with all the banner ads and other things there, whereas when you have the ad blocker, I can actually freely browse the page nice and easy. So Ublock Origin is that app for me, but most ad blockers will be pretty good as well. Okay, so next on my list is PowerToys, and you may or may not have heard of this one, but it's got some really cool features, so let me show you. So my favorite feature by far is the fancy zones, and this is like a better way of splitting a screen with different windows. So in Windows, you can just drag to the side and create a split like that. But with fancy zones, it's a bit snappier and a bit better. So you hold down Shift and you can drag it into the zone there. And you can do the same here as well, and then it snaps on really quickly. But the beauty of this is that you can actually customize the zones to whatever you want. So you just go into the PowerToys settings, you go into the layout editor, and then here you can see you can change all the different kinds, and you can set it per monitor as well, that you can have different ones. So if I set this to rows, then I'll double click on that to activate it, and if I drag, you can see that now I can snap all these things into rows, and you can literally make this any shape you like, which is the main reason I really do love this application. And PowerToys has actually lots of different features in it as well, which I find really useful. So it's not just the fancy zones. Let me show you. So there's a really cool image resizer, which I find really helpful if you're trying to upload to a site that has a size restriction. It's going to make it a lot easier. So say I had this photograph here of a fitting that I'm selling on eBay, I just right click and then I resize with image resizer, and then you can just change the size there, make it smaller so that it's going to fit within the correct size of the website you're going to. There's also power rename, which is really cool. So you can select a group of them, right click, and then you can power rename them, and then you can sort of change a different part of the stem of what you're renaming, which actually can save you a lot of time if you want to organize your files. So if instead of DSC I wanted this to have photo instead, right, all I do is put in what I want to change and then what I want to change it to, and then I'm just going to click apply, and you can see that in one fell swoop it's changed all of those. So that can be really useful for some people. It's also got a really cool color picker as well. So if I just do Windows key Shift and C, then if I hover over stuff, it will tell me the exact hex code of what I'm looking at, which is really cool if you want to do some artwork, create a YouTube thumbnail or something. That's really useful. File locksmith is really good as well. So that tells you if there's a file that's in use, you can find out what's using it. So if I right click this and then unlock with file locksmith, it should tell me what's opening the file. And there's actually nothing at the moment, because when it's open in Photos it doesn't do anything. But if you did have a file that was being used by a process and you couldn't end it for some reason, the locksmith will help you find out what's actually causing that, which is really useful. Now there's honestly so many different features in this that I'm not going to go through all of them now, but suffice to say this app is really cool, so I definitely recommend you pick it up. So the next one on our list is called WinDirStat, and it's a really cool app. So basically what this does is it sorts out all the files and folders on a disk or even on your whole PC to show you where the largest files lie. So if you have a disk like say an SSD or a hard drive or something that's pretty much filled up and you don't know what files are filling that up, then you can use WinDirStat to sort it by the largest files. And you can see on the example on screen that we've got Saucy Saunders Beach Blowout using quite a lot of this particular storage drive. That shows us where we can save the most space by deleting those files. It's also really good for things like USB sticks, external drives as well, where you don't know which files are taking up all the space on the drive. You can use WinDirStat to look through it and see which ones are using up all the space. You can do it for your whole PC, so all the drives that are attached, or you can just do it for a single drive just using the menu at the start when you boot the application up. Really cool, lightweight, free, and just does one thing really simply, and that's what I like about apps, is when they do things, one thing, nice and simple, without any bloat. This fourth app is one of my favourites, and it's so good because it's so simple. It just does one thing, it's super light and it does it really well, and it's Airytec SwitchOff, right? So I just search for that in my search bar, open it up, and then it pops up in the bottom corner. You just open the icon, and then you literally just set the time when your PC can go off. So you can literally set the time and date you want it to turn off, and then just click enable task, and that means that it's going to shut off afterwards. And I find this really useful if I'm offloading a load of stuff off my camera. I let it go for a bit, look at how much time's estimated left on the transfer, right? And then just set the shutdown for a little bit after that. And that means that my computer turns itself off after it's done something. So maybe I've copied some files over and I'm going to head to the gym for a bit. Rather than have my computer running all that time using electricity, I just use the Airytec switch off, and it's going to turn itself off after that's done, which is absolutely brilliant. And if you want to make it fancy as well, you can do things like set to when it's using less than 10% of your CPU for a certain amount of time, then it will turn off. So that's pretty good if you're doing lots of renders and things. But I find the time is just a simple one which works, and I really recommend this. It's super lightweight, doesn't stick up in the background or anything. Perfect application in my opinion. Alright guys, and the final slept on app is Notion. I use this all the time, it's absolutely brilliant. So you can organise your whole life on this. So you could even put your chores on there, but I've got my whole medicine career portfolio stuff on here. I've got lots of business stuff on here, like marketing ideas and all that kind of stuff. I've got all my YouTube projects. It's where I keep all of my scripts and all the information that I might need to get to. So, you know, for my business stuff, it's got all my VAT number and all that kind of stuff on it. For my medicine stuff, it's got all the sort of work-based place assessments I've got to do, and for the creative side, obviously all the scripts and idea generation. It's just a really good place to have as like a second brain. Sometimes you think of ideas, but having that repository where you can put all your ideas is actually really helpful. And I think Notion is fantastic because not only can you use it on the desktop, you can do it anywhere in the world because it's all live and online. You can do it on your phone. You could do it on any other computer if you know your login. So Notion is a big recommend from me to help organise your life and using it as that second brain. All right, hopefully in that lot there was an app that you've not heard of or used that you might go and try. But with that said, let's finish it there. See you in the comments. What a good little fat boy. That is a boy that has just had a whole tin of tuna all to himself.